Welcome to another exciting episode of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. And now, your host, Barry and Lisa.
Hi, Barry.
Hey, Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I'm so excited to be doing episode number 9 with you on this podcast.
The importance of the exit strategies for business owners, right?
Right. We need to do a little planning before we can have a really great exit strategy, right?
Absolutely. You know, people do business plans. They forecast and they put budgets in place and stuff like that. You also need to put an exit strategy in place or an exit plan in place.
So that you can retire.
Yes. And you want to retire and maximize that.
The profits that you make along the way.
Exactly.
And be intentional about that. So that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't like to look at, right? Because they think, gosh, it's a little bit scary. Am I going to have enough money? So they just end up just working, their butts off, all of the years in their businesses, and then they don't really have a plan.
They don't. People, they just jump in and they go, especially a lot of small business owners. They don't know. They don't have a clue. They just, okay, I've got this business now. Let's go. But there's a lot of moving parts to it, right? The sales, the marketing, the finance, the HR, the employees, and also the exit strategy.
And the more you plan, the better, because then you can be very intentional about your business. We do work alongside some really fantastic, skilled financial planners that could discuss your business and figure out your exit strategy with you. So if you ever needed a resource for that, please let us know.
I've had several conversations with business owners, and in those conversations, I always ask them, what's your exit strategy? And they kind of look at me like, what? And I advise them that when you start your business, that's when you need to start planning for your exit.
Right.
Because it takes time, right? You just don't go from point A to point Z overnight.
Exactly. And what's so funny is that the older you get, then you start thinking about it and you're like, shoot, I should have thought of this earlier, because there's like a little bit of time left, and then you're thinking, how do I do this? And that's where you could definitely come to us and we could just start with you on that planning process.
I'm old. I've retired twice now. And here I am back at it again.
I know. It was cool though, because then it affords you the time to do something different. Maybe you
each time has been something different, but I'm just not done.
Are going to do one of your other passions the next 10 years of life, right? So
yeah,
let's talk about the differences between exit planning versus the actual exit strategy.
So there is a minute difference between the two, right? Very subtle, but at the end of the day,
okay,
I threw it out there early. At the end of the day, planning is just that, right? You should plan early and often throughout the entire process of the business. That is your roadmap. How do you get to Z?
Think about that. If you were to have a plan in place and then you reevaluated it every year, every 6 months, but you knew that you were getting closer and closer to that exit plan, wouldn't that be so much more exciting to wake up in the morning and actually go into work and do your business knowing that you're getting closer to your end goal, getting closer to retirement, getting closer to a potential sale of the legacy that you built?
Yeah. I would love that, right? To kind of know that, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
Because, most people, when they start a business, it's a marriage.
Right.
Yeah. It is a marriage in the fact that you're married to that thing, just like you're married to your husband or your wife. It's you, whatever you want to call it, mistress, but it nags, it pulls at you. You're constantly dragged into that business all the time.
And part of us starting InvestQuire was just that, was like, this is going to be our exit strategy. We're planning to be able to sell our company one day. So we're in the process of doing that ourselves.
Exactly. So the planning is the roadmap. The strategy is the end game. How are you going to sell your business? Are you going to go IPO? Are you going to sell it to family members? Are you going to sell it to third parties? There's 8.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them in a little bit.
We're going to talk about each one. And there's 2 additional ones as well. They're not common, but yet they are strategies.
Let's talk about the broader process of preparing for your eventual departure. So again, we're in the exit planning stage.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Well, how broad do we want to go? I mean, we only have 30 minutes here, and these conversations sometimes can go weeks.
Barry can get in the weeds.
Well, I get into the very minute details, right? Because the devil's in the details.
Which is why we make such a great partnership.
We do because, I'm detail and you're like, no, let's just do it. I'm like, wait,
do it.
wait.
Right. Yep. He's awesome. Okay. So let's focus on some holistic considerations like your personal goals.
Yeah. So what are your personal goals? I mean, those are the questions that we ask you, and you're the only one that's going to know this, but
And
how do you want to exit the company? What is your goals with the company? And do you plan to be rich of this thing? Do you just want to have a job from point A to point B? There's a lot of different factors.
Yeah. Do you want to step away and have a clean break and think about all of the things that you accomplished and actually enjoy life with some passions and hobbies? Or do you want to stay involved because you want to still take care of your baby and all the relationships that you made along the way?
Right. And that's one of the exit strategies, right? To think about. If you sell the business, maybe you stick around and as a consultant or whatever and help for X amount of months or years or whatever the case might be. The other one is just the value of the company, right? As you grow this business and you start it, it does grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger if you're doing it right.
Correctly. Exactly.
Yes.
And we've had podcasts about that too.
We have.
We'll be bringing more information to the table about how you get to the next level when you're feeling like you hit the ceiling of your business profitability.
Well, yeah. So how do you get there? I mean, again, you're building a roadmap and planning. Again, this podcast is about your exit strategy, but as you can see, there's a theme here. Almost in every single one, there's all kinds of planning that goes in business.
Exactly.
And, it goes in your personal life too, right? You plan to go to the movies. You plan to go to dinner. You plan to, go on vacation.
Yeah. And you don't just want to work in the business, but you want to work on the business and ultimately the goals of the business.
Well, the motto is work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And so that's what we're here to help you do. And if you're thinking about this, then you're going to get to a smarter place and work less and let the business work for you.
It takes a team. You can't, there's no I in the word team. So you have to.
There isn't? Oh, we spell it different.
Taya? T.
I am.
Yeah.
T-M. T-E-I. Yeah. T-E-T-I.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We digress.
All right. We're having fun today.
We are.
Succession planning. So have you guys seen that show on HBO, I think it is, or Hulu called Succession?
You mentioned it to me before. I have not seen it.
Yeah. He's got children that are basically fighting over the succession that their father leaves. I think it's a multimedia company to them.
Yeah. So succession, right? So there's a couple different successions, right? Whether you're going to do a family member, whether you're going to sell the company, or whatever the case might be, or maybe you're doing a management company, and that's one of the strategies too.
So it's important to identify that in the beginning?
You should always identify from the very beginning a successor.
So that you're preparing the person for the role.
You're teaching and you're training them, and we're going to talk about that in detail a little bit later. But yeah, because what happens if you get in a car accident? Who's going to run that business while you're in the hospital?
Right. Right now, I'm actually planning to have Anthony Manifold succeed
Who's that?
to my position. He's getting his real estate license, so I'm wanting to hand over my real estate residential side of business to him.
Woohoo, Anthony, go!
Preparing him for this leadership.
There you go. So the training is already in place. Get the training.
But I'm looking for Anthony. You said Anthony.
Anthony? Where's Anthony?
Luke is looking for him. Where's our successor?
Yes. So the other implications, so on and so forth, is, legal and taxes, right?
Understanding and minimizing.
Yes. So
tax liability.
So depending on how your exit strategy goes is also going to depend on what taxes you're going to pay.
Right.
Or somebody else is going to pay, right?
You'd rather keep more money in your pocket, right?
Everybody wants that. I mean, right now it seems like everyone, companies and the government are just trying to get as much money out of you they possibly can, right?
Again, that's why you want your financial planner and your CPA and your business partner all to be holding hands alongside you.
You should never go a business alone, right? You need these advisors to help you, unless you're an expert at everything, which I have not met one of them yet.
Right.
We at InvestQuire, we're not experts on everything.
Absolutely.
And we reach out to partner companies to
get advice.
Yeah, to get advice and sometimes help us on various projects.
To help guide our clients.
And because we know that. And how I've always said this, how do you know what you don't know if you don't know what you don't know?
I love finding out.
Yes. And I'm a sponge. I love to learn.
Exactly.
So if there's something there and I don't know how it's done, I'm going to bring in an expert, and I want them to show me how. Show me how so that I can do it next time. Not because I want to cut you out. It's just because that's how I am. I want to do it.
Right. And one of the last stages of planning before you actually are able to exercise your exit strategy is getting your employees on board and managing this transition.
This is one of my pet peeves. We've talked about this before, right?
It's a whole plan.
When you're selling your company, I am under, given certain circumstances, but the sooner you tell your employees and get them on board, the better. Instead of dropping the bomb on, oh, guess what? I sold the company. Here's the new owner. Goodbye.
Right. You don't want to tell them too early, but then again, they need to know when you're actually ready to, pull the trigger, or maybe you have a buyer's offer in hand, and then that's when they become part of the equation.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a time frame, right? But, how great would it be to get the buy-off of your employees early and then have them be part of the progression of selling the business?
That would definitely be the ideal way.
That is the ideal way.
That way, but yes, absolutely.
Some people are scared to tell their employees. They're afraid their employees are going to leave, and they don't want them to leave yet because the business is ready.
Potential. And some don't even want us to advertise the business because they're afraid of that public knowledge.
We have one right now.
Mm-hmm.
So and those are problematic. It's hard to not advertise the business and get buyers.
You have to strategize your communication. Absolutely.
Yes. So exit strategies, right? There's a bunch of them, and I should say 8.
So that's the actionable plan within the larger exit planning process.
Yes. Whether it's selling to a third party, IPO, family, liquidations, whatever the case might be. And by the way, liquidation, that's the last thing you should think about doing, right? That basically you're shutting the company down.
Yeah.
You're going to take a loss, right?
Some people are just tired and they don't want to figure it all out, but they don't know that business brokers are available to them, right? To help walk them through the process.
Right.
So what is exit planning, and why should you do it early? When you say early, what do you mean by that?
Well, as I said earlier already, start when you first start your business, right? Get that roadmap in place. And as you said, check on it every 6 months, every year.
So
it's going to change.
That as, exiting early, which we would all love to do so that we could retire at a young age and enjoy life. But I think you're meaning let's start the planning process early, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually find the goal of when you do want to retire.
Get it down on paper. Maybe you don't know the exit strategy in the beginning, but you can start planning for that exit, right? How are you going to plan for that exit? You're going to find a successor. You're going to start teaching them. You're going to start training them, right?
Exactly.
You're going to keep your eyes open and looking at your competition. Do I want to sell to my competition? Do I just want to sell the business? Do I want, a family member to take this business over? Do I want to go IPO?
Right.
Right. Those are a lot of different things to think about.
Without the strategy and the planning part, you risk getting lost along the way and just working umpteenth amount of years and never being able to exit.
The bottom line, it gives you peace of mind, right? So now you can sleep at night. You have a plan in place. But again, I can't stress enough. Check it. I always advise check your business plan, check your exit strategy every 6 months to every year.
So you'll have a peace of mind doing all of these steps to exiting your business. You'll also have an increased success rate with the sale of your company, and you can maximize your value. So you're walking away with more money than you had thought.
It does maximize the value of your company because you have a plan. You're going towards that plan, right? And so who needs an exit strategy?
All of us.
Every single business, all of us need an exit strategy, yes.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to be doing it forever.
Right.
Maybe you are. Maybe you're going to have a heart attack and die because the company is wearing you down to the bone.
No, we don't want that to happen either.
But then again, who's your successor?
Yeah.
Or if you're the only one that knows anything about the business, you got all these employees, they're all working it, and all of a sudden one day you're gone. Now what?
And people that work for corporations, they obviously have an exit strategy. They have 401ks or IRAs or investment accounts, or they diversify their financial portfolio so that they can retire and don't have to work at their jobs anymore. So it's similar, but as a business owner, there's a lot more variables that go into it.
Right, because there's certain things
that you need to do.
There's certain things as a business owner you don't get that you would get out of corporate. So those are some of the things that you need to think about
and have to
put in place. Yes.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk about
regardless
the 8 common exit strategies.
Oh, right.
right?
Well, the first one, of course, the obvious. If you're thinking about selling, you're thinking you're going to sell to a stranger or a third party.
Yeah. And so who fits into this category? You know, this go ahead.
People find it fun, I think, to sell to a third party or an unknown buyer, because then they don't have to have those ties or that relationship, and they could really have a clean break and walk away and let the new person run it as they wish.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you sell to a third party, there's a finite line. Poof, this is it. You know,
Takes the emotion out of it. It's more of a business transaction.
on Monday you're employed, on Tuesday you're unemployed, right? Just like that.
Right.
Unless, you know, you're negotiating into the contract. But let me say this. I can't stress enough. You really need a business broker involved in the sale of your business. We're going to make you more money. We're going to get a higher
exposure,
yes.
increased marketing strategies.
There's sometimes bidding wars and stuff like that because guess what? We're marketing to millions of potential buyers.
And vetting the buyers to make sure that they're viable.
Exactly.
buyers.
Because there's going to be a lot of people who want to come around and kick the tires, or your competition who just wants to come in and see how you do it so they can go back and implement it. So we as business brokers kind of ferret them out and make sure that we get legitimate buyers who have the money to buy your business that walk in and start talking to you.
And we can also link them to our private equity investors, or actually just put your business in front of investors and equity firms so that maybe they would want to buy the business.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are private equity firms and stuff like that. They buy businesses all the time. That's what they do. So
Now, if you're nearing retirement and have no potential successor or Anthony Manifold, then you may want to pursue other ventures.
I don't
Your ideal.
I don't have an Anthony Manifold. I don't even have a Luca right now. So yeah, exactly. So anyways, third party selling, right? That's
it. In
one of the first of the 8 strategies. The second one is
selling to what?
your employees, right? It says ESOP. ESOP is basically employee stock ownership plan. And so instead of selling the business per se to a third party, you're actually then turning a group of your employees into the business owners.
And that'll keep them motivated while they're working.
Well, now they become business owners, right?
Yeah, because they're like, wow, now I have an exit plan, because they'll be working towards that.
That's a really good strategy for somebody. If you just want to get out and stuff like that, or maybe you just want to advise, that's a great strategy because guess what? The company keeps going.
Yeah.
The employees are still there. They have a stake in the company now, so they're not going to leave, right?
Ultimately, it'll boost their morale. Definitely.
You definitely, again, need a broker, probably an attorney as well, because there's going to be, there's going to be...
Talk to your CPA about the tax liabilities of doing that.
Yep, exactly. Because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that. And then not only that, but who's the one that's kind of more in charge than the others, right?
Right.
And then...
Well, not everybody wants to take advantage of that option.
No.
It would be a unique situation, right?
There's later down the road, we're going to have a podcast about leadership versus management.
Right.
And they're different.
They are, two roles, 2 different hats.
Yeah. My wife, Tammy, she wants nothing to do with leadership or management. She wants to be a worker bee. She's like, I have no wants or desires to manage other people and have their headaches too. I got my own headaches.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, it takes a specific type of person to do each of those roles.
You know, I'm going to digress here just for a second because...
Because you can.
Because I can. But one of the things is in along the lines of there is just because you are great at what you do as an employee doesn't make you a great manager or a great leader, right?
Yes.
I've learned this the hard way, right? Because as I've been the CEO of several different companies, executive vice presidents, I've promoted people within the ranks and they failed miserably.
Exactly.
And because I've learned, I got to give them the tools. I got to teach them. They need to be the successor and how to be a manager.
Yeah.
How to be a leader.
And you can mold people and teach them, and some people you just can't. They just don't possess those types of traits and skills that are required to be in management.
Exactly.
So they're better in a sales
And
position.
you heard some people are just born leaders, right?
That
And
is a very true statement.
it is a true statement because leadership is a lot different than management, right? Leadership is about the vision, the direction, where we're going, right? And management's about the doing. So those are the difference. And I'm sorry I digress on that, but we're talking about that. We're talking about what employees are
Let's
going
on track. Let's continue planning this podcast and go to the third option.
There's seven.
Exiting.
There's 7 tracks here. Which track do I take?
That was a lucky number. I don't know. I love that number.
Wait, no, we like 8. We like 8.
Oh, that's right. The life path number.
That's it.
Anyway, that's our
So the next one.
G podcast.
That's it.
Okay. The buyout, a family buyout.
Well, it's not just the family buyout, but it's also management too, right? So let's talk about the family buyout first, right? You're going to sell it to one of your family members.
Successor. So they would actually pay you money.
Yeah. So the family buyout is you've got, a nephew or a son. They're not taking over the business. They're buying the business from you.
Similarly to residential real estate, if you have an estate and somebody dies, then maybe one of the family members wants to buy out the other family member and keep the estate and live in it. So that would be a simple analogy.
A lot of times family members go into business together. So at one time, somebody wants to leave and they buy them out.
Right. So number 4, IPO.
Well, wait. Let's go back.
Oh, what did I miss?
Management. That's us.
Oh.
Right. So
we can come in and train the family member to operate the business if they did not know how to do that.
Yes. And we can also just manage it for you. We will hire the people, put the people in place, and then manage the whole business for you. You just sit there and collect the paycheck.
Purchase.
Yeah.
And then we will put the key players in place. And that's part of the services that a business broker can provide, but more specifically InvestQuire.
Yeah. There's training, there's mentorship involved and things like that. So, but those are things to consider, right, in that option. The next one is
IPO.
This is the hardest one of all. Okay. What is IPO, right? IPO is basically an initial going public. Exactly.
Not only is it a great idea,
putting your company on the stock market.
It's a timing thing.
Right. So New York Stock Exchange, the S&P. This one takes a lot of planning. It also takes a lot of money. People don't realize.
High growth, really mature companies.
Companies that have taken off their unicorn and they're going, yes, there's a lot of planning. You're going to get business brokers involved, intermediaries involved, attorneys involved. There's regulatory stuff, right? Yeah. You got to work with the SEC.
Yeah.
There's going to be FBI investigations.
Make sure you check those boxes.
So again, this is back to the exit planning. If that's one of your strategies, you need to make sure you've got all your little ducks lined up in a row, right? You don't have any criminal charges on you out there, right? You don't have, or you're getting all that stuff cleaned up. Because IPOs, they're tough and they take a long time. Think about this. When Facebook went public, they initially offered their stock at, I think it was $17 a share. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was $17 a share. At the end of the closing, it was $79 a share.
Wow.
And now look at it. I don't know what it is today, but it's hundreds of dollars a share right now.
Definitely a great example.
So
the IPO is not the common one, but can be utilized for those, mature companies with a lot of assets, right?
Yes.
So mergers and acquisitions.
That's where we come in.
Actually, very specialty.
It is. And so what is a merger, right? A merger is 2 companies that are merging together to form one company. An acquisition is one company's coming in and completely buying another company up and gobble it up and it's gone.
Yeah.
On the mergers, who's going to be the main company, it remains to be seen. That's a negotiation thing that happens. But a lot of times on those mergers, those 2 companies still stay independent. And they still run as independent entities, but yet the one company owns the other company. It's almost like a subsidiary of, right?
Got it.
Where an acquisition is company A is coming in over and taking over. They're going to get the company or,
make whatever changes because now they have the authority to do so. Right.
Yeah.
So a merger is like a marriage.
A merger is like, we're dating.
Yeah.
And it's a marriage, and hopefully it goes well.
You're merging two income streams into one,
Exactly.
which could be very beneficial,
So that is a strategy.
or maybe more simplistic.
Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, right, you want to make sure that you get attorneys, accountants, business brokers involved in this, because this one,
Identify all the roles and everything in.
there's a lot of legalities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of legal documents, especially if there's real estate involved too. Right?
Don't rely on the other, party initiating everything. Make sure that you come early.
Never, ever.
Your attorneys look over everything.
They don't have your interests in mind. Always get your own people who's part of your team.
Some people formulate partnerships and they don't identify any of that upfront in writing. And then when it's time to sell, there's a lot of disagreements going on and greedy. And
We just talked about that.
yeah, not
So,
a good situation.
There's a bad situation for somebody who basically got sold out of a company and lost out.
You don't want to clean up a mess after.
Exactly.
Always be preventative damage.
Yep.
Control.
So the next exit strategy is a strategic partnership.
Partnering with another company.
Yep.
So you could share resources.
You share resources. Those might be employees. It might be product. Yeah, you're going to basically come together. It's almost like a merger, but not quite. It's just a strategic partnership, and maybe use the owner of company B is going to step back and let company A kind of take over.
It's a way to avoid maybe some of the costs overhead business, right?
Yes. So, these are all things to consider. Another one is gifting your business.
Now, that could be a good tax.
It could be an awesome tax write-off, but there also is a lot of legalities involved in it because family members, how much is that business worth, right? So for you, you're going to gift it to somebody, right? And you can do that. But for the person you're giving it to, well, it's a $2 million company. Guess what? IRS wants a little bit of that money.
They're going to have to be allowable.
Right.
So,
and then you can also, people also do gift their businesses to charity. Yeah.
Yeah. Then it becomes like a nonprofit.
And it could be a nonprofit. That's on their side. Who knows what it's going to be? But on your side, you gifted it to a charity. What you're not going to get any money out of it. But what you are going to get is a nice fat tax write-off.
Exactly.
Right.
Which would be the incentive crowd.
That could be the incentive. And then
The
last option,
would be liquidation, which I have done.
you don't want to do liquidation, right? Basically, you're giving up, you're throwing in the white towel, you're saying, I'm done. Now you've got all this stuff you got to liquidate, and you got to pay taxes on the stuff and everything else. You're going to lose.
Yeah, you'll lose.
You're going to lose thousands and tens of thousands of dollars.
Lose your investment, basically, because you could have invested in product, and then what are you going to do with the product? Sell it on eBay or Etsy or something?
Well, that's
a way to make
that's one way of doing it today.
But I guess a planned liquidation would just be maybe due to an illness or due to moving out of the country or the state, or maybe needing to do it quickly, right?
Yeah.
So having the knowledge how to do it. So a lot of people walk away because they don't know how to sell. So that's why we're hoping this podcast will serve as some informational knowledge.
If you got questions, reach out to us, right? We've said many times, you can reach Lisa and I at investquire.com. You can also reach us here at the Biz Show on our Facebook page, The Biz Show, and ask us questions. We'll be more than happy to help you out.
Have a conversation.
There are two other exit strategies. They're not common, but they are part of a exit strategy. And the first one is franchise
conversion. And people do not know that they can do it.
They don't.
What a cool thing. We did have a guy that came to the seminar that about doing that.
We did. And actually, I've been talking through LinkedIn with a guy who's a franchise expert.
Oh, that's cool.
And
a resource?
So we might have a resource. We need to sit down and talk with them and have a meeting and stuff like that and kind of understand. But if you want to, kind of step out of your company, you can turn that into a franchise, let someone else come in and take it over, and then maybe we can pop up others. And before you know it, here you are, a bunch of McDonald's running around.
Legacy, that would be kind of cool to watch, from a distance if you were to do that. So what about the opposite? Can you turn a franchise into a not franchise?
Yes, absolutely. You can go either way. It's just a legal term, right? And so there's a lot of franchises that have gone back to being not franchises. And let me give you an example. There's a company that I worked with just recently who, as a district manager, you've got 10, let's say, locations set up. And of those 10 locations, some of those are franchisees. And if they don't meet the criteria and they're not selling your products or stuff like that, then they can basically lose their franchisee ownership. And we've taken 3, 4, 5 different franchisees, businesses back and moved them back into corporate just because they're not doing the right things. And when I was a territory district manager at Shell Oil Company, I had managed food marts and gas stations, and one of the franchisees, his wife did macrame and knitting. So he would put all of her product up and hang it in the gas station, in the food mart to be sold. But that wasn't authorized Shell products.
Interesting.
So we had to shut them down.
Gotcha.
This was a long time ago. This is back in the 90s.
Right.
Gosh, I'm old. But those are things that happen, and those happen on a regular basis.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the
a secondary market sale is similar to what?
The secondary market sale is more of selling to your competition. Looking at your competition, they're going to come in and they basically want your book of business, perhaps your product.
Maybe you want to go to them first.
Maybe.
Right.
But maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to see your business succeed, right? I mean, I'm sorry, not your business. You don't want to see your competitor's business succeed.
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's about money, right?
Oh, the end of the day, there we go.
Are just concerned about the money, the bottom line.
Yeah. So, think about exit strategies.
Know that all of these options are available to you, and you may actually think, oh, I'm going to sell it to a family member, but maybe not. Maybe once you advertise it, you'll actually be selling it to a third party or your competitor. That's the part you just don't know, because you want to actually be able to explore all of the options and see what actually fits your needs best for that time of your life.
Right. You're absolutely dead on. And like I said earlier, if you have questions or you're not sure, reach out to Lisa or myself. We're glad to help. We're happy to help.
Forward to hearing from you. But if not, we'll see you, or you'll be listening to us next week.
Next week it is.
Have a great week.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. That's the end of this podcast. And you guys have a great week and weekend.
Be safe.
And
Happy.